Okay, well, we're getting started. Episode 2 of I think the working title is Allegedly Compliant. We'll see how long that sticks. If you have other ideas for a podcast name, let us know. I can't promise we'll listen to them.
Trial run.
Trial run. We'll see how it goes. I'm back again with my buddy Brendan, and we are going to be talking about guns and some stuff. And yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. For those of you that missed the first one, this is my buddy Brendan. We've known each other for a while now, worked together at a rock quarry. Brendan now runs the bitch, and we still, to this day, hang out. And he has been the one that has filmed a lot of my gun videos, been around for everything, one of my groomsmen in my wedding, which just happened, good friend of mine, and that's why I wanted to have him on here.
Hola.
So, getting back into the recurring segment that I think I'm going to have us continue with as an opening segment is going to be the Does It Even Fucking Matter podcast, or Does It Even Fucking Matter segment. Because I think there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think many people tend to get so focused in and wrapped up in the best gear and all that kind of bullshit. And sometimes it's good to just remind yourself or ask yourself, does it even matter? Because plenty of people have been able to get by with a lot less than
just that line of the best gear, it just struck me to my heart because we're both gear whores. Yeah. So it's like, but there's so much research to be done on which one's best.
Look, I need to know that the materials where this one was sourced, even though it's the same hardness, ratings, and chemically the same, this one's better because someone on Reddit told me so. Technically better. So I think today we're going to be doing the ammo and caliber for your CCW. I think this is a huge topic that a lot of people get really wrapped up into, of like, what caliber should I carry? What kind of ammo should I carry? Really, for me, the only thing that matters is, are you carrying a decent hollow point? And is it of a caliber that's reasonable for self-defense?
Yeah, as you were saying that, I was just thinking, can you hit anything with it?
Yeah.
Have you practiced with that caliber? Are you familiar with its trajectory and
I think one of the
guess
videos that like really like set me up to have this mindset was there was a Lucky Gunner video where he interviewed two people from Federal and Spear, I believe it was. And they spoke about how with handgun ammunition, you're just not going to get the stopping power or ballistic capability that you get out of a rifle. Like, I mean, you and I'm sure you have rifle for home defense, shotgun for home defense would be superior killing tools compared to a handgun. And with handguns, it's like,
they may be more readily available. Yeah. But
when it comes
better than nothing.
Yeah, and when it comes to the ammo selection, they just can't get it to do the things that you can do with a rifle. So it's like 9, 40, 45, 38 special, 357 Magnum. If you are using one of those handgun rounds for self-defense or for a concealed carry firearm, it really doesn't fucking matter. Personally, and I think you would also make this choice, and many other people would make this choice, if you were to ask us, what caliber would you pick today? Fucking 9mm.
9mm is convenient.
Yeah, it's like, it's the easy to shoot round. They all kind of perform similarly ballistics-wise. It's easy to shoot. It's the least expensive, typically, ammo prices the last year.
I was going to say, with all the craziness that's been going on, I was actually very happy that I had a 40.
Oh, yeah. I was literally thinking to myself, I was like, damn, all those 40 boys were really laughing for the first 6 months of the pandemic.
Unfortunately, I already had like a decent stockpile, so I didn't need to shoot anymore.
Yeah, so you're like, does it even fucking matter? So yeah, I mean, people get so wrapped up into, and I mean, I personally get so wrapped up into carrying like super fancy boutique rounds, like I'm carrying Federal HST 124 grain 9mm, and I won't carry anything other than that, or maybe Spear Gold Dot 124 grain 9mm. But it's also, you got to look at it like those might be the best or one of the best in one of the more preferred calibers, but it's not got the power and capability that a rifle or a shotgun does. I think Clint Smith put it best. Handguns put holes in people, rifles put holes through people, and shotguns with the right load at the right distance will physically remove a chunk of shit and put it on the walls. So it's like rifles and shotguns better, but when it comes to handguns, choose something in a reasonable caliber like 9, 40, 45, 38 Special, 357 Magnum. If you know more and you can make that decision outside of those calibers, go ahead. But ultimately, carry it, train with it, know how to use it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, remind yourself sometimes it's not always about buying the most expensive ammo. It's just get something, get a decent hollow point, make sure it runs in your gun, know how to use it. So yeah, does it even fucking matter? Okay. Actually, I want to start with your topic of your number 2 topic that you had written down.
Why are people posting pictures of their arsenals on the interwebs?
Yeah, I want you to elaborate on that because I think I'm going to slightly disagree or have like some different points of view.
So just going through Reddit particularly, but I've seen it other places of people just posting their entire lineup of like all their guns, what they have. And for me, I was just, what benefit are you getting from posting that on the internet, letting more people know, besides
Clout.
oh, I have one of those, or that thing sucks,
Yeah.
or the best case scenario that can happen out of this is some dude's like, hey, I've been thinking about getting one of those, what do you think about that? I have this opinion on that is best case scenario.
Yeah.
Most likely someone's gonna trash your fucking arsenal. Or
oh, I mean, the second you post something on the internet, you open yourself up to ending up on r/plebeian AR, which is like, you don't want to go there.
And I love how they call it arsenals and they have 7 guns.
Yeah. It's like, and like half the time it's, you see people posting like photos, like they're so proud of it. And it's like, oh man, I would love to say such mean things about all your gun choices. And then I think to myself, does it even fucking matter?
Yeah. I'm just in the category of keep it to yourself. Like, I'll talk to you or friends or whoever wants to bring up this conversation. I will have a conversation with you about it. But I'm not going to just post it on Reddit and be like, hey guys, look at my gun.
Because I totally get that point of view of like, for the average person going out and taking a photo of every single firearm that you own, especially for the people that like don't live in California or a state with a gun registry. So like, I've got guns that I legally own that I have literally never taken a photo of because I purchased them prior to the state registration of long guns. So it's like, those guns I don't have photos of, and that's totally legal for me to have them even though they're not registered because I acquired them legally. Like, I personally wouldn't post photos of those because it's like, worst case scenario, the government doesn't know that I have certain things, And I think a lot of people, like, it doesn't make sense for most people to take photos, especially when it's linked to your identity, and post them on the internet. But at the same time, I'm totally for, and I know you mentioned this too, I'm totally for like talking to my friends about guns, especially the people that aren't super like into guns or even like anti-gun, because I think that while I and yourself too, we're both on the spectrum of hey, that's kind of a lot of guns, bro. Like most people would see the amount of guns that we own and think that's kind of unreasonable for the average person. Yeah, and it's like, I don't need any of this shit. Maybe I could argue the fact that I need for personal protection this Glock 19
handgun, shotgun,
yeah,
Remington 700
yeah,
rifle
and an AR maybe. Like those are the ones you could argue need, and that's like 5 guns. So need, no, but I think when you open yourself up like that in a more like personal way of like showcasing like the culture, I think that has huge benefits for showing what gun culture is and like showing like, hey, I'm a normal ass dude, this is what I do for a living, and I have guns. This is a normal hobby. Like, I'm not doing crazy shit, I'm not murdering people on the weekends, I'm not shooting myself up with heroin and attacking little children. I am just a dude who owns guns. And it's like, I like talking about that kind of stuff with friends that we have that might be more anti-gun or just never experienced firearms in a good way. But for the average person on the internet that just like takes photos of their guns that the government otherwise wouldn't know about and then posts them on the internet for no real purpose, I don't know if that's always the right choice, but it's their choice. So if they want to do it, go ahead.
And it's not even like good photos. It's like
Here's my
this futon right here, you put 6 more guns on it and then just like took an overhead shot of it.
and like somehow
Like they're all
still,
just laying down and then you get your feet
yeah,
and
you get your
socks
toe
in there
fungus
somehow.
in there somehow. Like it's like, bro,
Like
how
they're
do
not
you-
even glamour shots of the
Yeah.
guns. It's just like, hey, look it.
Hey, here's a really grainy photo of my shitty all red and blue AR-15 that's going to end up on plebeian AR. I got
Yeah.
the iron sights on backwards. I got a sight mark red dot, skeletonized foregrip, and I'm ready to party. Like, so yeah, it's like it's funny like thinking about like you know what really is like your point, but then you also got to think some people might have nobody to talk to about guns. Like we're very fortunate. Like
Yeah.
we live in California, and somehow almost all of our friends are right-leaning or libertarian-leaning gun owners. So it's like it's very easy for us to think, why would you be posting that? Like, just fucking talk to your friends, bro.
Yeah.
Some people's friends are just the fucking worst, and not because they don't own guns, but they're the worst, and they also don't like guns.
Yeah.
So you got to think maybe some of those people are just looking for friendship in the wrong places.
Any sort of connection. Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Because they're
it-
just posting on gun on Reddit.
r/guns, and I'm trying to talk to all the moderators and President Tender, all the
Yeah.
fucking people on the internet. So it's like, who really, you know, I get it. There's both sides of the coin. I'd love to hear what people have to think about that, because me personally, I'm kind of the opinion, especially at this point in my life and this point in this whole gun tuber thing, it's like everybody I know knows that I own guns. Like it's very rare when someone like knows me, and like the concept of, especially if you've been in my home, you've probably seen multiple guns just around, because like, what am I going to put pants on for
Yeah.
guests?
It's not necessarily the cleanliness. He doesn't have kids.
I don't
There's
have kids.
usually not little people around.
You know, if kids are going to be coming over, I definitely lock everything up. I might have a handgun on my body, but I'm not going to have guns laying around if there's kids going to be coming over, because like, you know, a 4-year-old kid is like the most dangerous thing in the world. Just strong enough to pull the trigger on a loaded gun, not smart enough to know what the fuck is happening. But yeah, so for me personally, I think that's a good topic too, of like storing firearms when you have kids or don't have kids changes like the dramatically, and not even going to discuss like the legalities of it, because that's just decide what laws you follow. However, we can talk about like the morality of it. Like you and I both don't have kids.
Yeah.
And
You walk into my office and there's a pegboard like behind my computer and it has guns on it. My girlfriend's like, you have a big safe. Like, why aren't your guns in your safe? Well, because I want to look at them.
it's nice to look at the M1 carbine every once in a while, and the revolver. You know, it's just this is decor. Look, let me have one room in the house that I get to decorate.
There's no rounds in anywhere near them. They're safe.
Maybe.
Yeah. That's actually probably not very safe because it's right above my computer screen and just
You know,
gonna fall on me one day.
Gravity is a bitch. You know, and
Break my
someday.
brand new computer.
Yeah. You know, for me, I go the route of like most guns that are unsecured, not in the safe in my house, are loaded. So I just assume like every gun is actually loaded. Like rule number 1 is treat every gun as if it's loaded. I just, you know, it's easier to follow that rule if it's generally
just
also
loaded.
true. But yeah, you know, like for us, like we don't have kids and most of our friends don't have kids. Trevor is actually, you know, our good buddy Trevor, you know, my best man at my wedding, you know, he is going to be having a kid soon. So once that little...
He's gonna have to learn. He's gonna learn today.
You go and learn today. Yeah, no. We'll have to work up his tolerance. We'll start with airsoft guns, and I think by the time he's 2, we go to
Well,
BB
I'm just
guns.
talking about Trevor's gun.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes.
think he owns a safe.
Yeah, or maybe that'll be a good gift for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we don't
Baby gift, here's a safe.
we don't generally have kids, you know, walking around our houses, so the conversation is a lot different for us. But for some people who do have kids, it's kind of a conversation for them to have of like, how responsible is your kid? What age are they? Like, are they even capable of understanding the concept of mortality? And, you know, like me personally, like I feel like me at any stage in my life when I was growing up, past like 10, I probably would have been perfectly safe to have a loaded gun in the house and it would have been fine. But, I know people today as 25-year-olds that I wouldn't fucking let near one of my guns. Generally, they don't come to my house because they're not the kind of people I would want to be friends with. But, there's levels to this shit. And I think, you got to kind of make that decision for yourself. Like, when was the first time you shot a gun?
I don't even know.
It's like, does memory go back that far?
Yeah. Like starting with BB guns or like firearm?
When was the first time you shot a real gun, like a 22 or like bigger, anything, like a real gun?
I don't know, 14, probably.
Yeah, I think the first
there.
time I shot a gun was probably when I was like 12ish or something like that.
But I want to say like freshman year. I might have shot in junior high. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. I think the first time that I really got like into guns though as a kid was my buddy Modik, who was again someone in the wedding. We were playing a lot of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to shoot a real AR-15?" And my fucking eyes just exploded out of my head like those old cartoons, like ooga ooga, and I was like, yes. And so we went over to his parents' house, and his parents had some property, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, I'd like to go shooting with my buddy." Because, he had basically free access to the guns when he was a kid because he was a responsible 14-year-old or 15, probably like 15. And his dad was like, okay, the safe combo, like to teach him all the safety instructions. And he was like, yep. And so he took me out. He showed me the safety rules of how to like responsibly hold a gun and whatnot. And we shot guns, and that was super cool. But I know plenty of people that I would just absolutely never do that with today. So you got to kind of make that decision for yourself, aside from the legality aspect of like a state like California, leaving an unloaded firearm around kids, especially if they happen to do something, you can be liable for that. And I think that's just something that you got to consider. But even aside from that, you have to make the right decision as far as like your own personal safety and the safety of your children, of when the right time to introduce them, when the right time might be to have that gun unsecured where they could access it. But
I'm curious, I know we've talked about, it's like that 4-year-old kid who shot his dad.
Oh yeah, there's tons of stories like that. It's like it's so sad because there's so many stories like that where it's like kid goes through mom's purse while in the car, and like I know probably multiple off the top of my head in the past few years of like kid going through mom's purse and finds her gun and shoots it, and like either kills it, just does something with it. Like,
well, in that specific one, kid, I don't know how found the gun, how it got the gun, but 4-year-old kid doesn't know what he's doing, shot the dad, killed the dad. Is now like the mom going to be prosecuted? Like, is she liable because the gun was unloaded, even if it was the dad's, I guess?
I think it would probably fall. I mean, this is all conjecture based off information that we don't really know. So it's like, it would probably depend on like who was legally responsible for the firearm, and it could have been the dad in that case. Like,
and who the judge is. And
it
would depend on a lot. It would just be curious.
You'd have to be a real fucking asshole DA to like put the
like,
mom in jail after so it's like now these kids are going to be raised by the state, which like the government does so many good things. But on the topic of shooting someone, this was a topic that got brought up in one of my ad reads for USCCA, and I wanted to talk about it more just like in detail of like why personally I chose USCCA. I initially wanted to hate them. I wanted to dislike them, and the reason is just because they have the best like advertising presence. So I was like, they're probably just like, people are probably only recommending them because they're getting paid to do it. And, some people might have real reasons to like them. So I went and I researched, and there's basically 3 companies, and I'm not going to talk bad really on them by name, but there's 3 big companies, one of them being USCCA, and I looked into them, and the other ones had some great pros for them, and USCCA had some great pros for them, pros and cons to all of them. And then as I was looking, I saw that all of the other major competitors have a clause in their bylaws or whatever you sign, and they all basically have some sort of clause that says if you knew the person that you had to defend yourself against prior in any way, so if you had any sort of relationship, past employer, past employee, past relationship that you were in, if you knew the person, that they would automatically have the right to not have to defend you. Now, whether or not they choose to after, I've seen some of them like comment on stuff saying, "Oh, we can still choose to defend you after." But for me, I saw that all the other competitors said, if you knew the person at all, we by default don't have to protect you or offer you our services.
Just a red flag.
And I'm like, don't like that. Especially just, you look at the statistics of like self-defense, you're more likely to have to defend yourself against someone you know than a freak accident or a freak incident with like crackhead on the street. You know, maybe you know that crackhead on the street, but chances are you don't. Those instances are much more rare than having to defend yourself against someone that you might know for whatever reason. And so for me, based on some situations with like, you know, my wife's crazy ex from the past, I thought to myself like, you know, if this dude tries to fuck around and find out, I would like to know that the insurance and whatnot that I've been paying into all these years is actually going to come back and help me and not, we'll see, but we don't have to because you knew him. Yeah. So for me, it made it easy. I was like, fuck, I kind of like USCCA now. I was like I went into it looking.
It's just like that little gear whore.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, they have that one thing that.
Exactly. And, you know, it just happened to be that was the make or break for me. Yeah. And like, I went into it looking and I was like, I wanted to make a video on the top 3 companies and I wanted to title it some shit like super clickbaity, like why I didn't choose USCCA. And then I'm like, fuck, I chose USCCA. So for me, it was like, damn, it
really do be like that.
It do be like that sometimes. So I went into it wanting to hate them, and I ended up liking them. And now, you know, I was able to like make a connection with them, and now they're supporting the channel, which is super cool. So I don't want you to take that much of a sales pitch. That was questions that were, you know, I brought it up. I guess I led to it with the whole like bringing up why I chose them. But a lot of people asked like why I specifically chose them, even though many other people would value the other things that other companies offer that USCCA might not offer. So a lot of people had valid questions, and I was like, look, there are very specific reasons for me that made me value what they have to offer way more than what everyone else does. So for me, that's why I chose them.
I am not affiliated with them or anyone. So I also agree.
I mean,
so take that at face value.
Yeah, and you know we can probably get you signed up. Maybe we can get you a discount or something. I don't know. We got to get you some sort of perks, right?
Reno May 10% off.
Yeah, but yeah, I think there will be a link in the description or something if you guys want to join. I don't think I get anything from that link. It's just it shows that I sent. I think I'm actually not sure how that link works, so we'll figure that out later. Okay, this was a topic that came to my attention today, actually, and it's that, so many of you might be aware of some various programs that are going on in Oakland and the East Bay where the government will actually pay you if you don't shoot someone. Now, have you seen these articles?
I've seen a couple. Yes, I've seen them. I haven't read them all. I've just been.
So basically, you know, the concept is the government says, hey, these people are just pieces of shit. Now, they've also said, we are going to let these people out of jail.
Not prosecute them.
Or not prosecute them. Now, they've identified certain people who probably fit a certain description, and they say, hey, these are bad people. Now, the government could just, put them in jail because they're known dangers to society. Or, hear me out, they could pay them up to $300 for not participating in gun violence. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you. That fucking makes my blood boil. Like, where the fuck is my $300?
Yeah, can I get reimbursed for all the times I haven't shot someone?
Yeah, bro, I am the best at not shooting people in gang violence. I'm so good at it. Like, where's my $300? And so the city of San Francisco is looking to adopt a similar program that would pay people up to $300 if they've been identified as the kind of person who would benefit from this. So they're trying to positively reinforce people who they have already identified as dangerous threats to society, they say, hey, look, this guy is most likely going to fucking shoot someone again.
Yeah.
And we could just not let them out of prison, but why would we do that? You know, we got to let them out of prison because it's overcrowded because COVID, you know? So let's let him out of prison. And then we'll pay him $300 every time he doesn't shoot someone.
It is probably cheaper than keeping them in prison.
It might be, but do you think it's going to work?
No.
Because it's... How many crimes go unsolved? Like, I'd love to know that exact statistic. So it's only saying that they'll get the $300. Basically, they're going to get it by default unless they get caught shooting someone.
Yeah. So it's like these individuals, I assume, are not allowed to own guns in the first place.
Yeah.
So
which that's a totally different conversation, but it's like, should they even be free people? Should they be in jail?
illegally having a gun, I'm assuming. Like, are they turning themselves in? Like, at what point is it like, oh yeah, I'll take you at your word, criminal, that you haven't shot anyone. Here's $300.
Like, yeah, and it's just the fact that like more and more taxpayer money is going to be hemorrhaged on that. You know, God, I just
as they're trying to do like a tax hike and
you know, like, oh, maybe if we just didn't fucking spend all this bullshit money on paying criminals, people who they literally have to first be like identified to be like valid for the program, which those kind of people most likely have already been in jail. And, you know, maybe they rehabilitated themselves. Like, maybe one out of the, like, thousands of people or however many is, like, a person who gets out of jail and is like, great. They're not going to fucking shoot anybody anyways, so they're not going to benefit from them. It would just, the kind of people that would just shoot people randomly are most likely not going to say, damn, I'd really love to get $300 this month.
$300 a month really makes a difference.
Yeah, like, it's not going to be that. It's just crazy to me. So yeah, those are the solutions that California has. Now, San Francisco's other solution is also to ban the sale and possession of ghost guns and firearm precursor parts, which is something that the state of California itself has already banned as of July 1st of 2022. So for those of you that are living in the state of California, if you want to acquire your ghost guns, your 80%ers and whatnot, you're going to have to do that prior to 2022 or July 1st, 2022, I believe.
So does this include, like, if I have a spare Glock barrel?
No. So
okay.
That's a good point because there were two bills, and this gets confused often. There were two bills that were passed or written around the same time. One of them would have included literally almost every single gun part. So like springs, base plates for a magazine, barrels, slides. Basically, one of the bills that was written would have included literally every gun part as, like, you have to go through a gun store. And that was fucking crazy. That would have been insane.
Do you know how many, like, Glock springs are just in my house, like, rummaged around? Like, if they're like, this is intent to build. Like,
I don't think I could count how many random Glock parts that I have.
And you've moved recently.
Yeah.
So, like, you've cleaned up.
Yeah.
They're in a vacuum cleaner, probably.
There's so many fucking... Yeah, so for me, I wouldn't even be able to know. But the bill that did end up passing solely pertains to just, like, flats, 80%, blanks, basically what you think of when I say 80%er. Like, a mostly...
The lower.
Yeah, the thing that would be the firearm, a uncompleted version of that. So it's like... Would blocks of aluminum in a certain dimension count? You know, I'm sure if you, like, there's probably, it's loose enough to where if you had a machine shop, the plans to how to run the CNC machine spun up and ready to go for milling that, I'm sure they could argue, you know, whether or not it's a constitutional law, obviously not, but they could argue that you were in possession, like that specific block. So, like, I could foresee a world where a particularly shitty DA in a particularly niche situation could declare a solid aluminum block a firearm, which is just ridiculous.
Fun.
But yeah, so a topic and
You gonna keep that in?
I'll probably cut that out. Probably not, to be honest. My mouth just didn't know what it wanted to do. So yeah, now I want to talk about my MAC11 actually. So this gun, were you there the first time we took it out
Yes.
at Brian's? Yeah. So this gun initially I bought for $2,000. This is a Masterpiece Arms Defender Mini 9mm top charging. And this gun is normally $500 in most states without the brace and this little back
It's
piece.
mostly just a chunk of steel.
It's stamped steel and then a big old chunk bolt that maybe has like 15 cuts in it on a CNC. It's a pretty crude, simple machine. $500 in most states. I paid $2,000. Now let me explain. So the reason I paid $2,000 for this in the state of California is because you can't really get more of these because the handgun roster, the single shot exemptions that people were using to convert a semi-auto gun into single shot, selling it, and then later people converting it to semi-auto, they closed that loophole in around 2015. So people that owned these, you know, that I bought it from, they could have them. And it's not an assault weapon in the state of California because it doesn't have any of the characteristics. No second hand grip, no barrel shroud. The magazine is inside the pistol grip itself. There is no flare launcher, I think is the word for it. And this barrel is technically threaded, but it is permanently pinned and welded with this muzzle device with this barrel extension on it, so it doesn't have a threaded barrel. This gun is not an assault weapon. Makes it very rare. It's one of the few ghetto blasters that we can really get in the state, if you can find them. The last time I saw one of these sell in the state of California was for about $3,500, maybe $4,000 at Sportsman's Arms in Petaluma. That was years ago. So when I saw this, I happened to be going through my Instagram and I saw Elite Armory. They posted it and it was like posted 18 seconds ago.
I messaged them. I commented twice.
And so I messaged them twice. I commented twice. I basically blew up whoever ran their social media. I blew up their phone. And like I didn't even try to pull the like, do you even know who I am? Because that would be such a fucking just
like they probably hadn't even set down their phone yet from posting it.
Probably
Reno already
like he posted it and it said complete
like comments
and like 2 comments, 2 DMs, and he was like, normally I said I can either pay over the phone with a card right now or I can be there with cash when you open on Friday. And he was like, normally we don't do over the phone, but you seem like you really want this thing, like an unreasonable amount. And so because of that, we'll let you pay it over the phone. So yeah, I got super lucky. If I ever wanted to sell this thing, I could probably sell it for $4,000 easily. But yeah, so I recently got a Picatinny end plate adapter for it so that I could attach the SB tactical folding brace on it. Because just fucking look at that. Is that not perfect? God, just look at that. Look at that brace action. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, look how small.
Folding.
Look how small that is. Like the magazine
Compact.
is like the same length.
Teensy.
Teensy.
Just saying some words that may apply.
But yeah, so that thing, a lot of people ask, like, how do you get one of those? Because I post a few photos here and there. The answer is be patient, find one secondhand, and pay a stupid amount of money that it is not worth. This gun is absolutely not worth $2,000. Under no circumstances should you pay $2,000 or more for one of these. That being said, I did.
If you want to run up on fools,
I mean, if you want to live out your like 90s gangster rap era, like LARPing, this is the gun for you.
it's so satisfying.
It like clicks in perfectly.
It almost feels like magnetic.
Yeah, because it kind of like the little like brace section there like locks it into place.
Ooh,
Is that satisfying or what?
satisfying.
But yeah, so the first time I took it out, it broke. I fired one round, and it cycled. I fired the first round. Okay, it cycled successfully. I was like, hell yeah, baby, this gun works. I fired the second round, and it just locks up. It doesn't eject. It doesn't extract. So I have to manually do it. And then I get the third round in the chamber. it doesn't fire. Like it just dead trigger. So I cycle the live round out. I managed to get off a third round, and then I realized like this gun, like it just again dead trigger, dead trigger, dead trigger. I open it up and we like see a little piece of metal come out, and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck this goes to. It's just a little shard of metal.
It was a horrible moment.
It was a horrible moment when
just like a tiny piece of this gun is in my hand,
and I know it's not supposed to be there. It didn't like it wasn't a whole piece that fell out, like it was misassembled. It was like very clearly this broke off of something critical.
It was like rattling around back here.
Yeah, we could hear it. So we opened it up, and then I realized at some point in time they upgraded the trigger to not have any trigger slap, and so it had in the hammer a little disconnect, and it would make the trigger much more enjoyable and much more pleasurable to shoot. So the recoil the trigger doesn't smack your finger every time. Mild complaint, but made it much more pleasurable. But that part would break every 500 to 1,000 rounds, and it would just happen at some point during its lifespan. Now the part itself was like $1, so you could just keep on hand maybe 5 or 6 of them and be set forever.
Mm-hmm.
But most people didn't like that, so eventually they just went back to the standard solid hammer, which when I paid $5 for, I was happy to not have to worry about that anymore. Not happy that I paid $2,000 for it, but I can't be mad at Masterpiece Arms for that. They didn't set the price at that. They set the price at $500.
This gun got cycled.
I mean, we probably
1,000 rounds probably
easy.
at Armed in May.
Yeah, we probably put 1,000
So we would
rounds
have went through at least one of those, just in that day.
I would say it wouldn't be unreasonable to say that we would have had to replace it twice, and it's not like that's not fun because it's just going to happen at some point, and the gun is just going to lock up on itself. Yeah. It's just going to stop working.
And definitely not enjoyable for the person that's like, I just broke Reno's gun at Armed in May.
And we would have let 2 people handle that, You broke my gun? So yeah, MAC11. Would I recommend that kind of thing for the state of California if you can acquire one? Probably not, just based on the cost. However, if money is no option and you think of it like an investment opportunity that you're never going to cash in on, because I'm certainly never fucking selling this thing. You know how long? It took me like 4 years to find one of these bad boys after I was like, it was around 2015. I was like, no, that's some point later in my life, because I had barely turned 21 and I was like, no, I don't need to do that. And then I didn't realize that the laws changed, and then the laws fucked me. So
I have Smirnoff sour apple to buy.
That was during an era where I was buying a lot of the sour apple Smirnoff, not the normal kind, the kind in that like yellow or the green glittery bottle, and I would drink it with a 2 liter of Mountain Dew, and we called it the antidote. So I was at a different point in time in my life, so I did not have the flushable cash to drop $3,500 on a MAC11. So, that being said, probably not worth it. To me, absolutely worth it, solely based on how long I wanted one, and I got one at under market value.
Yeah.
Which is 4 times MSRP. But yeah, so I think you had a topic, standard mag capacity.
Yeah. Okay, so the video...
Be careful with how you bump.
Did I bump it? We all saw the video, right, of 4 armed men.
Oh, yeah.
Like, approaching this house. They, like, notice the ring, like, camera. Like, the guy, like, points at it, and they still decide to go in.
They just cover it up. They just, like, have...
Yeah, they're just, like, oh. Like, he didn't even cover up. He was just like, oh.
Like, deterred them not, like... So the camera didn't deter these guys at all.
So... 4 armed men enter your house. Dude was fucking strapped and ready to go. It's fine. It's not making any noise.
I can hear it.
Oh, God. Dude was strapped and ready to go. And it just brings up the debate where, 10 rounds. So in this scenario... If this was California standard capacity, you can only have 10 rounds in your gun.
Yeah, assuming you didn't get your mags during Freedom Week.
Yeah.
During March and April of 2019, which you did. It's a good thing you did for the guns you might not have owned yet. So if you're limited to 10 rounds, like
if you're limited to 10 rounds, that I don't like those odds.
Yeah,
And they just say like, "Oh, what are the chances? What are the chances?" actually fucking happens.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing that is happening, and
I saw a video the other day of some lady. This was a similar situation where this lady, it looked like they lived in like a fucking storage, like in a garage, because it was just so much like stuff piled up. But so 3 or 4 dudes, I think it was just 3 people, break into this house, and this woman ends up like engaging in a gunfight. And the only reason that this lady didn't die is because the dude who had the drop on her hesitated, and she was able to fire first. So it's just, it kind of like, there's a lot of, Monday night quarterbacking that you can do of like entering a situation ready to do it and not like engaging when you're not. There's just things to talk about that's more suitable for like a breakdown video. But in this situation, there were 3 people, and she engages in a bit of a shootout with them. And at one point, her gun goes dry, and like it was very clear like she was limited on magazine capacity. And it's like, we talk all the time about like statistical odds and average round count, and those are important metrics to understand. But
they're not the end all be all.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if most situations are solved with like 1 round, and that brings the average down.
Yeah.
There are still situations where
there's video evidence.
Yeah, like
literally,
it like last week.
Yeah, it frustrates me that it's still such a hot topic.
And like we have like the DA or the Attorney General in their office, like in the various like magazine capacity lawsuit videos, where they're arguing that someone can either like, they couldn't document a situation where someone was not able to defend themselves with 10 rounds, and then they could not reload or get a different firearm. And it's like, okay, it's great to know that you guys couldn't document a situation where someone runs dry on their gun and then has to reload and then dies. However, how many people do have to run dry? It's clearly like we can see at least one situation where someone with a limited capacity magazine ended up going dry, and then was thankfully able, that was it. But it might not have been it.
How many people with a standard, 15 rounds would have died if they didn't have those extra ones? So you can skew it in any way you want.
Yeah.
To make, statistics are, you can skew them.
It doesn't really matter like that the average round capacity fired is so low when you don't know what kind of situation you're going to be in. Like if you said, Reno, you are never, like if you were just some, clairvoyant, and you could say, Reno, we can guarantee that at no point in your life will a gun be used in a situation to keep you safe. I'd be comfortable not owning guns. I would, if you could 1,000,000% guarantee that I would not ever need to use a firearm to defend myself from an individual, multiple individuals, the government, whatever it is, I would be fine not having any of my guns like loaded and laying around.
I'd probably still have guns.
I mean, yeah, because I like them and they're fun. Yeah. But like, I would be comfortable with the idea of not having them ready to go to defend myself. But you can't guarantee that. Yeah. And you can't guarantee that if I need it, I'm only going to fire 2 to 3 rounds, and that I won't need more than that, or that I won't need more than 10, and that I won't need a spare mag, that my gun won't jam and I need a different mag. And then you can't guarantee that. So therefore, I'm not going to rely on being as least prepared as might be statistically necessary.
Yeah. It was just, it made me so frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
Just, why
are
we limiting
and you don't always have the outlet to like vent that frustration. So for me, like, I got this platform where it's like every week I can come on and just be like, all right, let's get it out of my system so I don't have to yell at my friends.
We never really have debates because generally we agree on everything,
but we can
have good conversations about it. But it just that one, and what was that other one, the CDC. Did you want to talk about that? The CDC limiting.
So the whole thing with the CDC. So back in the day, the CDC had a head director who was very anti-gun, and they were using the government money to fund anti-gun research. So it was very clearly biased, and that's why the NRA lobbied to prevent the CDC from looking into gun violence. I want to put that in air quotes. And they act like, oh, the NRA just didn't like it. It's like, no, the NRA and everybody was like, yeah, the CDC is kind of out of fucking control right now. Let's stop them from being able to do it.
Yeah.
And then Obama allowed it to happen, and the information that came out showed anywhere from, on the low estimate of value of like reliable numbers they had, 500,000 instances a year in the United States of someone using a firearm to protect themselves. 500,000. And when you consider there's maybe 20,000 gun deaths or gun murders, not including suicides a year,
That's good odds.
that's good odds. That's a good ratio in my opinion. You know, like obviously I would love to not see people get killed with guns, but we don't live in a world of sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah. Chicago exists.
Yeah, and you know, and that's the thing. Like they talk about wanting to research gun violence, and it's I think someone just commented this like maybe an hour or two ago, so I'm plagiarizing this comment off the top of my head. It's not about how you shouldn't be concerned with how the studies and the information is going to be intended for. What you should look at is how will it be abused. Like it's the CDC director that's acting right now could say, we don't want this to be about gun control. We just want to know what is happening in these instances of violence so we can better understand it, so we can solve the problem at the root cause. That's fine. However, I know that what's going to happen is anti-gun group.
Yeah. Hold on. CDC. That was a loud shoulder pop. Look at me. Gun control is not your job. Stay the fuck away from guns.
You know, you would think they would have like other shit to worry about, but apparently
Like a fucking pandemic?
yeah. And you know, maybe not changing what their opinion and rules are every fucking 10 minutes. You good?
I really want like a desk.
Yeah.
I don't like
We should probably like maybe we do this next
because I
time.
went like this earlier and my foot definitely got in the camera and I was like,
Giving away feet pics on
yeah, this is our OnlyFans.
you feet posting on Maine.
That's a big fucking toe, man.
Some motherfuckers gonna be like, that's a big juicy fucking toe.
Pause it. 13 minutes, 27 seconds.
Look at that big juicy fucking toe.
He works on a rock quarry. His feet are awfully supple.
Ew. Kill me now.
Supple. Such
See, like the reason I'm cringing so hard is because like I know
you live on the internet.
I know that that's like not an exaggeration of like the kind of people that exist on the internet. Like that was a real reaction. I'm sure someone had that reaction. Oh God. Okay, so I want to talk about maybe while I talk about this, think of a time a piece of gear, a gun accessory, something has disappointed you greatly. Okay, and I'm going to tell my story.
Oh, I thought you were talking to the audience.
No. And then the audience also, if you would like to leave a comment to discuss something that's disappointed you greatly, feel free. Okay, so this right here is my SIG P320. It comes from a SIG Custom Works fire control unit that I got from Second Amendment Zone down in Rancho Cucamonga, California. I'm not disappointed in that at all, how they got it to me. That I'm super pleased with. But when I put this together, I got this Wilson Combat Grip. Excellent. I had this Hollow Sun sitting around that was on my AK that I decided to put on this Live Free Armory slide. That works fine. Grey Ghost Precision slide parts, totally fine. The problem that I found was what was happening to me is I bought initially a Grey Ghost Precision barrel. And now I have heard nothing but great things personally about Grey Ghost Precision when it comes to their Glock barrels, their slides. They seem like a solid company from what I've seen on the internet.
I own one. It works great.
And yeah, and I'm your gold one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had nothing but good experiences. And so I thought, hey, they're selling a barrel. You know, I got it on Brownells for like $170. That seems about right. It's got flutes on it. It looks pretty cool. So I said, I'll pick that up. And then I was dry firing this and cycling it. And I would pull the slide back. And, you know, if I would do that enough times, randomly one time while dry firing, I pull the slide back and it locks open to the rear without engaging the slide catch. I had to engage the slide catch just to show you. And I thought, that's weird. Don't like that. Wonder what happened with there. So I thought, okay, maybe it's just a one-off. I didn't really figure out what was going on because when I pulled it back again and let it go, it went forward. I assumed, okay, maybe I just engaged the slide stop and didn't realize it. And then it kept happening while dry firing, and it kept happening, and it got more consistent. And what I realized was, and I then tried to shoot it at the range, and I had it happen because I assumed, okay, maybe something to do with how I was dry firing. Maybe I'm pressing the barrel and it's locking it up somehow in a way that just is not going to happen when you're shooting it. So I take it to the range, I get the red or the green dot sighted in, and it happens like 4 times in 50 rounds where the gun just locks open on me without using the slide stop. And I'm like, okay, something is seriously wrong here. If I can't get through 50 rounds and it's happening multiple times, something's wrong. So I take it apart and I kind of fiddle with it. And while I'm like dry fire cycling it back, I'm like putting pressure on the barrel. And I realize that the front edge of the chamber that locks into the slide here is somehow catching on the inside of the slide. And I email Grey Ghost Precision and Live Free Armory, the slide company. At the same time, same email, explain what's going on, say, hey, I don't know if it's the slide or the barrel that's out of spec. I'm having issues. And fortunately, my dumbass accidentally ordered 2 slides when I ordered the slides. And I just haven't gotten around to returning the other one, so I decided to install everything on the new slide to see if it's the barrel. And again, it's still happening. Now, it could be that 2 slides are out of spec. So then I go looking on the internet, and I type in exactly what I'm experiencing, where the barrel is catching on the inside of the slide, locking it open. And I find someone else that's experiencing the same issue. Thankfully, Live Free Armory responded very timely and offered to have it sent in with the barrel and slide and everything. And they would see what's going on, see if it's the barrel or the slide that's out of spec. Grey Ghost Precision never responded to my emails. I then message them on Instagram. They say, what email did you send it with? I respond, giving them my email and my information. Never really get back to me. And at that point, I just gave up. And I was pretty disappointed because I bought what I thought was a nice... I thought what I bought was a nice barrel. And it turns out that this is a known issue, or at least an issue that's known on the internet, of the Grey Ghost Precision barrels basically rocking at an angle inside the slides of the P320, and it was the correct barrel being used in the correct slide on the correct. There was no mismatch of parts. The P320 barrel full size that Grey Ghost Precision was making with the little cutout so you can see the loaded chamber indicator, that is rotating inside the slide when it cycles to the rear, locking the gun open. And I'm just glad that I discovered that through dry fire and taking it out on the range, and not just like I was actually relying on this gun for defensive use, because that could have been big. So it's just something that I was disappointed in, and it kind of goes as a good point of like, test your shit before you rely on it, because you could have parts made from manufacturers that are well regarded on the internet, highly regarded, and they could just perform terribly. So that's my experience.
I had very similar. I don't want to go into too much detail about like the gun, but you helped me through it, where it was a very similar. The slide was hitting the barrel. It was just the tolerances were too tight, so it wasn't fully.
Was that one the Zev barrel or?
I forget what it was. The Browno slide, I believe.
Oh, okay. So the gun that we dealt with for you for the longest time.
Well, there was that one, but that's not even the one.
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure which one, because I have several of these.
Yes.
I'm not sure which one it is, but it wouldn't go fully back. It wouldn't just completely reset. It was getting caught up right here. And it basically took me lubing it up and just going like that.
Going to town on
hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And eventually it just wore out enough that it cycled reliably.
Yeah.
But same kind of issue.
God, there was also that gun that we had that was frame, slide, barrel, all reputable parts, all reputable internals, and a Glock. And
they're just all... So they're all aftermarket parts from different manufacturers. They all have slightly different tolerances.
Yeah.
So
we take this Glock out, and God, for like a year straight, we were taking this out, and it wouldn't fire. You would pull the trigger,
and I had to pull it slightly to the right,
and like
and
bottoming out, like to the point where it's like, I think I'm
pull
gonna
it anymore.
like we would think we were gonna break the trigger in half. We were pulling so hard and so far to the rear,
and
in order to get it to fire.
Yeah, if you pulled slightly to the right,
it would work.
It would work, but obviously
somewhat
that's
consistent.
not good trigger like there's a lot of things wrong with that.
If you pull this 6-pound trigger with about 48 pounds of pressure and all to the right at the same time, and just aim about 4 feet to the left to counteract how hard you have to pull to the right, you'll hit your target.
Yeah. So the fix for that ended up being
you can't
I put a light.
You can't skip straight to the fix, man. Oh, we were for a year battling this gun on the range, and we just refused to spend any time or any thought on the gun outside of the range. Like, we'd be like, damn, we should fix that when we get back to your house.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get back to his house.
And then I might like clean it.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, I'm just going to lube it up real good.
And so we did that for probably a full year before I was like, okay, it's probably the trigger connector, the connector bar.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just like buy a different one. Because like I've seen weird issues where it's like reputable trigger bar in a reputable parts kit on a gun just either causes like double taps or something weird happens. I was like, just spend the $20 on a different one from any other company.
I think I got a Glock lightweight one.
Yeah, like the
I
Glock
had one
OEM
laying
minus.
around.
Mm-hmm.
I forget.
It was something
like
like
a 4.5 pound.
Such an easy fix.
Put that in and immediately fixed it. It was immediately just better.
And we battled this. I'm not exaggerating. We battled this gun for like a year.
It's one of those things that it's like you're relieved it's fixed, but you're so frustrated that one, it took so long, and two, it was so easy. It was so easy to fix, and it still took so long.
Yeah, we would just get back to the range after being frustrated with this gun like for an hour, and then we'd be like
a cool build. And I was just like, man, like I really want this gun to work. It's like Master Chief.
Yeah, and we would just never put any effort into actually making it work. But yeah, that gun's fun now that it works. But I think when I look at it, I still just like, it's like trauma. Like
I'll
look at that,
use that gun in competitions now.
Yeah,
like that's how reliable it is. But we battled it for so long.
Yeah. This is a topic that I wanted to make into a video itself, but I just never got around to it. And at this point, it's kind of like late news, but I wanted to talk about it still. Mexico is suing certain gun manufacturers for firearms ending up in America or in Mexico. Now, they're suing the manufacturers of the firearms when in reality, in my mind, they should probably be suing like Eric Holder and Obama and the ATF for, I don't know, Operation Fast and Furious, where they trafficked and lost track of hundreds of firearms, some of which ended up in the cartel's hands, were found I think they found a literal 50 BMG at El Chapo's hideout, like from Fast and Furious. And then some of them were found in America, having been used in a crime against Americans. So Mexico is saying that because these firearms are made in America and the gun laws here are so lax that it's basically they are at fault for guns leaving America, entering Mexico, and then being used in crime.
Yeah,
against
it's so difficult to get guns in Mexico,
and
don't you know?
And then, like, the thing is, like, they're saying that that's why the cartel has guns, and it's like, motherfucker, half the government is, like, tied up with the cartel, so it's like, who the fuck, like, who are you guys to talk? You are like, half of you are the cartel for you to sue us, and, like, to sue the manufacturers? Like, it's not our fucking fault you guys have gone to shit. I mean, I'm sure there's many geopolitical problems with what's going on. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but, like, it ain't Smith & Wesson's fault.
It's like those avocado farmers that are hiring
gunmen
to, like...
that was insane.
Defend, not really defend, but just, like...
Not get shot at by the cartel.
Not get shot at by the cartel, exactly, so...
And then, like, they're getting in trouble for wanting to defend themselves, and it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, why wouldn't you just call the cops in this scenario if the cops weren't corrupt?
Yeah, if the cops weren't also kind of the cartel.
Cops weren't the cartel, you could just call the cops and be like, hey, having some cartel issues here. Would you mind helping? I'm just trying to grow avocados.
And they're like, you think I'm going to get in the way of John's business? Fuck that. I have to work with that asshole.
Yeah.
Like, So yeah, it's just crazy to me. So yeah, apparently United States firearms manufacturers are the problem, not the fact that we trafficked hundreds of guns over to the cartels, and somehow they have like HK firearms, and I'm like,
We don't have those.
can I get one of those? Like, I can't even get a fucking HK that's worth like buying, and the cartels over there tooted and booted, like double cheeked up on a Tuesday.
But like, it's not even like those operations. Like,
yeah,
the cartel, they operate illegally. They operate in the black market. Like, they have ways to get guns. They're not going into,
like, I'm sure
the gun
some
store.
guns. Yeah, I'm sure some guns are making their way here, but it's like, is that really the root cause of the problem here?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think so. Like, you think that they're getting that much guns and ammunition across the border that way to like actually fuel a organization that's big enough and powerful enough to fight the Mexican military?
Yeah. They're
No.
not going over. They're not at like
They're not
ASP Armory. They're like, hey, can I get this Glock?
You got some dude coming up to the Dick's Sporting Good. Hey, can I get 14 pallets of 7.62 by 39? Yeah, I'm gonna need like 900,000 rounds of ammunition.
Do you have RPG?
Yeah, where the fuck are they getting explosives and shit? You think they're getting that from fucking Dick's Sporting Goods in Texas? No, like, just crazy to me. At this point, I wanted to kind of talk about some of the other stuff. Now, this is something that, okay, I haven't really told you this story well. I kind of told it over stream. So, okay, you're going to want to brace yourself because this one is a little ridiculous. So, the other day, our dog was throwing up a little bit and he wasn't feeling well, so we get an appointment with the vet. Appointment's at 5:30. I get there at 5:25. I make a phone call because you have to sit outside. You don't actually bring your dog in because of COVID. So I make a phone call, say, hey, I'm here a little bit early. Got my dog Chester. And they say, okay, yeah, thank you. We'll call you in a few minutes to do some intake questions, and then we'll be right out to come get your dog. 5:35 rolls around. They call me, and they say, okay, yeah, like, what's his deal? What's wrong with your dog? And they're like, okay, yeah. So they come out at around 5:35, get the dog, take him into the vet. And so then I'm sitting there in the parking lot, scrolling through my phone, just wasting my life, responding to DMs and shit. And it's like 6:30 at this point, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I need to like make a phone call, right? Like they've had my dog for an hour. Like, is he like dying? Did he happen to just fucking like blow? Yeah. What is going on in there? Like, maybe they're understaffed, maybe something. So I'm like, all right, I'm not too worried. So it's about 6:30, and I get a phone call, and the vet is on the line. He's like, hey, Reno, this is Dr. whatever. I know we've had your little guy in here for a while. I'm really sorry. We had an emergency surgery on a tortoise that came in right when we were about to look at your dog. The tortoise's penis was out, and I had to put it back in, so my hands were pretty full.
Sorry.
This man, so I'm just sitting there, and this man just tells me that he had to shove a tortoise penis back inside of it, and that his hands were full. Those were the words that he chose to describe the situation. And I'm just sitting there.
Penis.
My hands were full of tortoise dick. Okay, I was busy, and so I'm just sitting there, totally confused about like, what the fuck did this man just say to me? And also, what do I even say to that? Like,
how is a tortoise penis? How does it? Is it usually inside? Like, I understand there's a shell.
It's got to come out to have sex, right? And I'm assuming that this dude, maybe he took his Cialis, his Viagra or something. Tortoise penis is now out, and it's just...
it was longer than 10 hours, and he needed to
call it. Yeah. If you or a loved one experiences erection lasting longer than 4 hours, please contact... So, his erection was lasting longer than 4 hours. He had to contact a physician. And I was sitting there like... I would have been totally fine if he said, hey, had an emergency surgery on a tortoise. We're really sorry about the wait. We're going to get to your dog right now. I would have been fine with him cutting off the sentence right there. But then he says his penis was out and I had to put it back in, so my hands were pretty full. And I like those words, that word choice had to be intentional. Like he had, and I just was not ready for that.
You just hear like a snicker, like
he's like, so my hands were full, and then he pauses, like waits for my response. Oh man, so that was my last Thursday, and I'm just like, oh,
Sounds intense, Doc.
Yeah, wow. Okay. And he's like, so I'm going to take a look at your dog and I'll call you back in a few minutes. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, bro, I've been in here for an hour. At this point, you could have just waited those few minutes and told me what's up with my dog after. So that guy just called me, I think, just to tell me that. I think he probably thought to himself.
Let someone know. And he was like, this dude's name's Reno. Like, he probably would be okay with hearing
and
this.
So then the funnier thing is, like, because our friend works at that vet, and that's why we take him there. And our friend Hannah's like, do you want to see the penis? And so I'm like, I feel like I need to. And so this thing is the fucking weirdest. Tortoises have weird fucking dicks, but I understand why it needed help getting this bad boy back inside of it. It looked like a fucking baby arm. I swear to God.
Wait, how big? I'm thinking like Little Miss.
It was probably like, imagine the
big size.
Like, I would say, like,
no, I'm talking about the tortoise. Like, how big was the tortoise?
I don't know.
Little Miss is like this big.
No, it's like full size, like big old tortoise. Okay, so it's a big thing.
Like Galapagos.
But if we're talking about the penis, I would say it's probably about that long. And I'm like, that would put most dudes I know to shame, to absolute shame. I was like, I see why that thing needed help back inside. So anyways, that was my Thursday. How was yours? My hands were full. But so we've been going fishing a lot lately, and I honestly don't know where we were the other weekend. Where was that? Where you, me, and Trev?
That is a secret spot that isn't to be.
Okay. Well, we were somewhere off a beach.
Over by Jenner.
Yeah. Fishing.
I
guess I'll just tell the story as vague as possible.
Yeah. Well, you don't give away your fishing spots, not for free at least.
You're right. So we went fishing, and, you know, we've got some spots that we go to. And sometimes, you know, when you're just like, you're not having a good run, like you just get skunked, or you're just like maybe catching one fish and you're just not feeling good about yourself. Well, Trev and Brendan took me to this spot, and it was, if you needed an ego boost, this was the place to fucking go. We were just killing it.
Reno was fucking killing it on my pole. And like, I'm like having trouble with my other pole because I had just gotten it. It wasn't new. Like, my uncle gave it to me, and I was like, oh, like, I'm
just wasn't quite right for the situation.
Pole. Yeah.
You're like, I want to use it even if it's not right.
Yeah. So I had a couple months earlier, like, made this rig for surf perch. And I let Reno borrow that, and I was like, I want to use my new one. And Reno's fucking killing it. Reno's gotten like 15 fish before I even have my pole rigged up.
I stopped counting by the time Brendan was ready to start fishing.
Like, he's just annihilating. I got, I don't know, 5 fish. Or, you know, it was what it was. I wasn't having a great day. Reno's over there mashing it. Just,
it was to the point where, like,
it was a clinic.
Yeah, like, you know,
it
when
was
like
actually catching.
You say, you're like, okay, it's not catching. It's why they call it fishing. You know, I was catching. I was out that day, and I had 2 hooks on my line, and chances are I was pulling at least one in every single time with multiple doubles. So I was just murdering. You know, hopefully they survived. I don't really care, to be honest, but you know, we were killing the game.
Something was gonna eat it.
Something's gonna eat it. You know, but yeah. So that every once in a while, you just need like a little pick me up, and that was it.
Reno got it. He's good on fishing for the rest of the year.
I'm all good. You know, like, now we got to get ready for duck season. I think opener is on the 23rd or something like that, but it's fucking Giano's wedding. So Trevor, I think, is actually going to go out.
September?
Or October. October 23rd. My bad. Yeah, October 23rd. That's like the first weekend of duck season. And Trevor, like, I was like, when is duck season? I want to kill some ducks with you this year. And he's like, October 23rd. And I was like, fuck, I think that's Giano's wedding. So I'm going to be busy, but Trevor is going to be, the morning of, he's going to be out there in Monterey somewhere shooting at ducks. And I was like,
anyone's in Monterey and knows of a duck hunting spot, let us know.
Let us know, because
we're going to be there.
We're going to be there. Maybe on Sunday we'll do a little post-wedding duck shoot in the morning. We'll see. But yeah, you know, so we got all kinds of exciting stuff coming up. Maybe we'll film that. Maybe we'll do a little short film thing.
GoPro chest rig.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. I'll voice over all the gunshot sound. Boom, But yeah, so that was my experience with that. And then yeah, I'm really excited for that this year. This is gonna be the first year that like I'll actually like hunt ducks.
Yeah, I've never been duck hunting. I've done a lot of pheasant, but duck hunting, definitely I've always wanted to do that. So we're kind of in a place right now that we're able to.
Yeah.
I feel like we just haven't had locations to go or
God.
people to go with or the ability to go. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
now
we
it's
have
like
kayaks or whatever.
now even if we, you know, like we got the public land, and then during part of the year we'll also have Brian's property, so that's super cool.
Once
Brian,
it starts raining.
once it starts raining and half of his property turns into river or creek. Yeah, I'm super stoked about that. I've never really been much of a hunter, and you know, all the times that we've gone out pig hunting, it's been more of like hiking with a gun. So I'm excited to go somewhere where I know that Trev has been successful.
Do you want to tell the last hunting story?
Oh yeah, okay. I guess we'll
That's
tell
a
this.
good one.
Yeah, so we go out to this spot, and now our buddy Giano, love the guy in so many ways. Super excited to be part
Also
of his
a
wedding.
groomsman.
He was also one of my groomsmen. Now, he has some family with property in San Bernardino County, and multiple times, you know, he's like hyped up this part. He's like, dude, there are so many pigs there. I go out there, and we just see like 40 of them on the hillside, and we're just blasting. Like, he's acting like he's got a fucking... And, like, I love Giano for this. Like, he tells stories, like, he exaggerates. He's got that, like, Italian, like, spice to his stories, you know? He really, like, kind of, like, hypes it up a little bit more, you know? So, like, you hear a story, you're like, damn, that's pretty fucking cool. You got to kind of know how to, like, tone it back. You're like, that sounds like it could be realistic if it was this
Dial
way.
back 3 degrees.
Boop. You know, you're good to go. But I love it. So he's telling these stories like, we're just like, yeah, these 40 pigs show up, me and our 6 buddies with AR-15s, and we just ba 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 ba, and the hillside turns to dust.
They're just hitting the ground.
Boom, boom, boom. And so he's hyping this place up. And I have been out there twice prior to the time that I went out with Brendan. Both times I hiked for about 15 or so miles. Didn't see a single fucking pig. Didn't see and I was like,
didn't even see wildlife.
I didn't even see a single live animal other than like a bird. So time number 3 rolls around, right? And now Brendan's there, Trevor's there, a bunch of our buddies are there, and he's like, look, okay, the spot we're going this time, I swear, like, we will see pigs. And I'm like,
we
I
have
want
like
to
a
go.
guide this time.
We knew we were gonna have like his uncle with us, so like he's like, hey, like here's where you're gonna want to go. So I'm like, all right, fuck yeah, let's actually do it this time. Because the one time that I didn't go with him, they actually did see pigs, and they fucking lit up the hillside and killed like 15 pigs. And I'm like,
Riley was there. So
Riley was there, so we know it
confirmation
exists.
that
We know it's real. Like somebody else has seen
there's
it.
one man you can trust. It's
Giano's
Riley.
not just hallucinating out in the woods on his own, you know.
Microdosing.
Yeah, he watched one too many episodes of Joe Rogan Experience and was like, fuck it, we're doing ayahuasca. So Giano's telling us these experiences, and it's just, you know, so we know it's real. We know it's real at this point. There are, in fact, confirmed there are pigs on this property. So we're going out there, and like half of our group, there's like this like ravine, this like river that like half of the group was going to go walk through in like the brush to kind of like see if they can like scare something out, maybe like see something. And then Brendan and I, because he has his 300 Win Mag, I have my AR-10 and 308. So we're like, we're going to go like up on this hillside. So like if we see something...
Like, who actually has guns that are prepared for this? And me and Reno were like, we do.
My gun can shoot more than 15 yards.
So we went up on the ravine, and they were kind of like... Trevor had he has a dope python, but that's all he brought.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have... 357.
He had 38 special
plus
P's.
So
he was very quick to correct us. We're like, Trev, you only bought 38 specials, and he's like, plus P.
Plus P. We told him to bring it. He didn't bring it anyway. So we go up the hill. These guys are just supposed to scare him out, and we can shoot him.
Mm-hmm. We kind of had like a safe way. Like we knew like we could shoot in like this direction. They were going to be walking this way. So like we knew where they would be.
Yeah.
And, like where we could shoot, where we couldn't shoot. It was
I forget you have to
clear
on shit like
clear,
that
wide open. If they were to scare them out, or if they were to come out,
we would have had 100 yards.
we would have had like 100 yards in any direction of like Clean shot. So, yeah. So we're up on the hillside.
We go up the hillside, nothing, come back down the hillside. Now we're like at the creek, and
Yeah.
we're like, okay, this isn't a great place to be because if they do scare them, they're going to come right through here.
Mm-hmm.
So we go up
We kind of position ourselves like
another
up,
hillside, yeah.
We like position ourselves to be like in the perfect spot of like if they're gonna scare them through the like river, they're gonna come right here, and this is the fucking kill zone. Like we are like 100 yards. We're in a secure position where like they can't get to us really, but we can just fucking rain hate on them if they were to come through here. And this is kind of where we think they're gonna come through because there are plenty of signs that they would be in this area. And then at like 300 yards, it might have been like 400 yards. It was pretty far.
It was a long.
So out in this like big open field, we see these pigs like
coming from the other direction.
Yeah.
So our buddies were trying to scare them this way. We're right here, and then like way down here,
Yeah.
coming this way.
So we see him, and I'm like, hang on, like we can get like
They had
like barely started walking out, and it was like a pack
they have
of
like
20.
a 500-yard open field.
Mm-hmm. So like let's let them get out a little more. Let's get a little closer. Let's get in a much better position because like we can either take this shot at like 400 yards, or we can take this shot at like 150, 200 in like the easiest spot.
Yeah, I wasn't super. I had just gotten the gun, still not super confident about my zero.
Yeah, like you were zeroed pretty good, but it's like outside of 300, you're like I haven't shot enough rounds with this specific gun out of this
And a
like with
moving
this bullet
target.
at a moving target at 400. You're like not super confident
If we
with
can
that.
get within 200, let's do that.
Yeah. So we were super ready. Like we were like moving super slow. We were like totally hidden. We're kind of getting in position. And then out of fucking nowhere.
Well, we're like halfway down the
Yeah,
hill.
we're halfway down at the hill. So we're even in like a worse position now to like actually see them. We're halfway down the hill and the pigs are starting to get out into this wide open. And it's like, it's going to be perfect. We're like, give us like 30 seconds and we're going to be in a way better spot, way better shot.
There's like fence posts that we could
just post up.
It was going to be glorious.
It would have been perfect. You know, I got a 20 round mag in my 308 and I'm going to fucking just let them rip. And then out of fucking nowhere, we hear a gunshot. And Trevor had simultaneously in the river way over here had seen a pig shot kind of blindly with this 38 special, which that sound was close enough to scare all the fucking pigs that we were looking at.
One random shot.
One random shot.
And it was just like, and it was almost slow motion.
Yeah.
We hear the shot. These pigs fucking
pivot
flip.
on a 180
Yeah,
just perfectly. It's like a frame shift, like boom.
All of a sudden they're going the other direction, and me and Reno just hit the ground.
We literally just lay down,
drop on the ground.
Boom.
I got one shot off.
I think I got like one off, and it was like at the pig was like the last pig was like crossing.
Yeah, I
and
had
I was like,
no idea. I was like, I'm gonna aim a little ahead of. I have no idea
because we're like
they're like running back to cover.
We're like we don't know exactly how far we are away. They're running fast as fuck. I'm also just hitting the dirt in a really shitty position.
It's just like, yeah.
I probably shouldn't even take
Hit the dirt
shot.
safety off. Oh! I had my scope, I think, on like 15, so just trying to sight it in. I was like, get in the eye pocket.
Yeah, so that was, we almost had it there. So yeah, hopefully at some point Gianna will invite us back out, and maybe we'll kill something this time.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So...
hey, that was the best experience we had on their property. So
yeah,
that's
probably
an improvement.
15 pigs, like, just in that little group.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, like, we know there's pigs. And then we spent the rest of the day up on a hill overlooking the patch that they ran into.
Yeah. And, like, we're kind of in a spot where, like, we could see if they were going to come out this way or that way. Like, we were in a pretty good spot.
Except for, like, way down the backside. But so they just never came out. And we were out there for, like, another 3 hours just watching.
Yeah.
Like, laying, I was just laying in the dirt, like, gun on the backpack.
Just glassing.
Didn't have a bipod yet. It was just like, okay.
So at some point, we might see a pig out there. But this year, we are going to hunt ducks, and we are going to eat duck. That's my goal. I would like to eat a duck by the end of October.
That you or one of your buddies
I would like to kill a duck and eat it for the first time by the end of October. That's my goal. But yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this. This was fun. Maybe we'll do this soon, maybe 2 weeks from now. So the first one happened.
Decent. decent reception.
It went well, you know. So the
I
second
think
one,
a lot of people are just like, that's an hour on YouTube.
that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of data. So maybe I'll try to figure out how to get this on Spotify. We will see.
I don't. Yeah, because unless you got YouTube Premium, you can't close that app.
Honestly, YouTube Premium was one of the best decisions I ever made because I consume a shit ton of YouTube. But anyways, hopefully, if this gets good reception, we will do this again maybe in like 2 weeks or so. I don't think I want to do this weekly.
Still working on the name, so if you think of a good name,
If allegedly
drop it down
compliant
below.
isn't good enough for you, drop it down below. Again, can't promise we will listen to it, but we might change the name. So that's a work in progress. But again, thank you everyone for watching. This has been super fun. If you have topics you want to see us cover in the future, the best place to do that is honestly through the Discord. The best way to get in the Discord is through the Subscribe Star. There is a $2 tier on there. That's just the easiest way to interact. Constantly in there, talking, chatting, easy time to get a hold of me there.
I am watching everything, but never interact.
So yeah. But anyways, if you have any ideas you want to see us talk about, go ahead and drop those down below. I'd love to read the comments on this. This was a fun time. I enjoy doing this. I think regardless of how well this is received, I'm going to keep fucking doing this. And I think you also in?
Yes.
We're going to lock it in. We're going to sign our deal for as many episodes as we fucking want. And
you can click or not.
You can click or not. Thank you, everyone. You guys know the drill. Have fun. Be safe. Stay dangerous. Peace.
Bye.